This material is made available to you by or on behalf of the University of Melbourne under Section 113P of the Copyright Act 1968. It may be subject to copyright. For more information, visit the University Copyright website.
Are you kidding me? All right, we're live again. Hello. Good to see you again. Today we're going to have a chat. Do you know?
No, hi. Welcome back.
We'll have a chat. So we have a few things to discuss with you. So this is the second last lecture. Oh, thanks God. We'll miss you. And then we'll talk about exam review. So for the exam review, we actually printed a few samples for you. And then we'll walk you through. And then we'll explain, we'll do some stuff. And then tomorrow we will probably continue with the exam review. Right? So don't worry. Okay, so the main thing today is the exam review. We will do this to help you. Some people feel more anxious. Some people feel like, how's your exam? How you designed that? I need to prepare. I don't know what's happening. Tell me. So that's why we're here to help you, right? So for those who had a previous subject with me, I do that, and I think that's my perception. If not, you can disagree with me. I was very consistent to the samples that I shared with you, right? Format and everything. So what we want is that you don't have a surprise when you sit your exam, right? So come in a good place, relax, you know what to expect, you know how to study, smash that, everyone is happy. Cool. And just before, we'd like to talk about a few things. Do you want to talk about this?
Yes.
Do you want me to do this?
Well, deliverable 3 we're marking will give you the marks on Sunday, the latest Monday morning. We've had no issues with that. Everyone or the people who submitted late, they have to wait a little bit longer. But I want to talk more about deliverable 4. Are there any questions about it, about what you need to do for it? No? No questions? Are you sure? This is the time. It's really clear what you have to do, what you're expected to do. You know what you're doing?
Have you read already what it's? Oh my gosh, we have still another deliverable.
Yeah, there's deliverable 4.
Surprise! So do you know what is the final deliverable about?
Looks like?
It's the final development of your project, part C. Is that correct? Is it? You have to develop the final modules, isn't it? And test.
C.
And you have to test all of that from your teammates. Is that correct? Fatimi, help me. What is that? What is it? The report. Yep. So have you read? So why we're here is just to avoid any misunderstanding, and then to help you like putting together a better deliverable. So if you have questions, I don't know if you had the chance to read, but this one is probably should be lighter than the previous deliverables.
Yeah.
Because it's a report. Yeah, you're right.
I'll just go over a few questions that we've had from other people, just in case you're thinking of them. So someone asked if they could use a different tool to JMeter for measuring performance. You can use whatever you want to measure performance. JMeter is the one that we used in the workshops, but feel free to change that and use whatever you want. Someone else asked if they have to test your application deployed on Heroku, or you can test it running locally for performance. So you can do either way, but consider when you test the performance of the application deployed in Heroku, you're taking, for example, latency, network latency into consideration.
that's good. I thought it was the microphone.
When you deploy it, when you measure performance locally, network latency is nowhere to be seen in your results. Also, we know that there is a limitation when using Heroku. I think it's 20 users or something like that. So when testing on Heroku, the scale of your tests is going to be limited. So again, consider that when analyzing the results. It's not that you are required to do these performance testings for the report, but it is a good way of supporting whatever performance claims you're making. If you do the evaluation and you find out that the results are not meaningful, either because the number of users is just not large enough to test anything or whatever it is, then write that in your report as well.
Does it make sense, this?
Yeah.
Because some people will be like, oh, the results are not the best. I'm not going to show this. I'm in trouble. You're not in trouble, right? We want you to understand what you're doing, testing, and then just like interpreting that and sharing with us.
Also, someone asked if they had to implement different patterns to compare different performance results or anything like that. There's no implementation whatsoever going on this deliverable. You're done with that. Just measure what you did, and that's fine. So you don't have to go around writing more code. I think those are the questions that I wanted to go over, unless you have any other doubts.
Yeah, and the criteria. Yeah, and the reflection. Yeah, go.
Yeah? Do you have anything else to add?
Do you have questions? Is that clear? Okay. 27, coming soon. I know. Some people are very tired already, but it's the final sprint. The other thing is, this is the second last lecture, right? So just as a way to, that's something that personally I love doing, which is having a chat to the students. I always try to empathize. It's very hard to me, but you got my message. And so our approach here is to really deliver something that will help you building your professional career, right? As a plus, if you can also have some personal developments in terms of the way you collaborate, the way you work as a team, that's a plus, and we try that as well. Sometimes, and that's why it's here, as part of this journey, you probably had some ups and downs, which is, I think it's natural in any kind of project and subject or work environment. Remember, this is software engineering. Soon, if you want, you will be applying for a job in the industry, or even if you're here doing research or whatever, or if you're doing other subjects, we work with people all the time. I'm always someone that tries to keep this humble spirit, and I really acknowledge that if I'm here today, it's because I had several people helping me to achieve things. I wouldn't be the person I am if I was doing everything by myself. Oh, but I'm too good. You don't know me, Eduardo. I'm the smartest person in the world. I'm not here to judge you or your skills. But sometimes that's not all that really matters, right? You have still to communicate. You can't do by yourself the work of 10 people together. Oh, you don't know me. Okay, look, you're an exception. I really don't know you. I'm a believer that we do things better when we work together. So we had several issues during these subjects, but we also had amazing, fantastic experience that were shared with us. In terms of learning, in terms of collaborating with different people, we're all different. At the very first day we look at each other, and your face, some were familiar to me, some were not. But in the end, all we asked was let's work in a very respectful way. So I think that when we found out that things were not quite on track, we try to intervene and to help you all, right? With no exception, no distinction, no judgments. We were not at any point trying to find out who was doing the right thing or the wrong thing, because there is no such a thing for us. We're trying to fix that to make your journey more enjoyable and for you to succeed as a part of the learning outcome, to learn the contents of the subject, right? So when we were putting this final lecture, I was like, okay, so we had conflicts. We had a few issues in terms of the assessment that were addressed as soon as we realized what was happening. We changed the way we were assessing projects for deliverable 3 and 4, for example. And then also in terms of the workshops, quite a few discussions on the model, the way, the approach that we decided to have and to that we propose to you. So step by step, long documents, absolutely impossible to finish that in a workshop because there is so much to do, but you'd start there and then you'd finish by yourself, but you'd have complete examples with code, and we thought we were providing you support. So one of the things now that we really appreciate is to hear back from you. So is there anything that you could provide us as a feedback or share part of your experience that would help us continuing improving this subject for the next next year? So for example, this year I put something on the announcement, the workshops were designed this way in a more detailed way because we got feedback from students from last year. We didn't have slides for this subject. So in the past, we would open the course notes, PDF, the PDF that it's available on LMS. We'd walk you through that and we would discuss, but there were no visual elements or examples or stuff like that, right? So we were listening to, we got the feedback, we thought about it, okay, let's change things. So we've been trying to accommodate things, even in terms of teams, number of, how big or small are the teams and that stuff. But then every semester, even if we try, I'm not saying that we're doing a perfect job, because I don't believe in perfect job, because we are all different and everyone here is allowed to have a different expectation. And I'm happy about it. And I grew up in this environment. When I started working, every 6 months I would sit and people would give me feedback, looking into my eyes and say, you're doing this really well, but that thing is not really good. I'm like, okay, thank you, I'll try to improve. At first I would be shaking, oh my gosh, what would they tell about me? What if they criticize my job? But it was good to be criticized, because then that was helping me to push my boundaries and to become a better professional and to dream high. If they were always telling me, you're doing good, 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 I'd probably be in this comfort zone. It's all good, it's always good, never mind. So do you have anything that you feel you could share with us that, yeah, sorry, Maria.
No, I was just going to say, now that you're talking about feedback, that's something else that I wanted to say about deliverable 3. We had a few people give us some feedback in the way that we deliver the feedback for submission too. So hopefully you will notice a change in this deliverable. We've taken different measurements to sort of improve the way that we do that, but one of the big changes that you will see is that we're going to give you the marks based on the breakdown that we gave you on the project spec. So hopefully that's going to help you better understand, where you did better in the project, and also the way in which we write the feedback is going to be in terms of the project spec, because before perhaps what we did is we gave a lot of feedback, but it doesn't necessarily mean that everything that we said had an impact on your mark. We were just, telling you everything that you could improve, but not everything led to a penalty in the mark. So I understand, or we understand, how that was confusing for a lot of you, trying to figure out what you could improve for the next submission. So hopefully you'll be much happier with the feedback that we give you for this submission. If not, let us know, and we'll keep
Keep
trying
communicating.
to improve. Yeah.
Keep communicating. That's a message. Is there anything anyone wants to say? No? It's hard after lunch, isn't it? No? Okay, so if you don't have, then I'll ask you something that we got an email with new instructions for this thing here, SES, and they asked us to give in the lectures a few times. So I'll give 5 to 10 minutes for you to, if you can, spend and do this, and then we will start the exam review. Is that all right? Is that okay?
This is really, really important for us.
For us, yeah. And again, share your experience. What could be improved? What worked well that should be kept? Like, okay, you should keep doing this. You shouldn't do that. I personally love reading all of this, and we try to sit and address things. So, yeah.
We're assuming that you know how to access on the LMS. I think there's a link, right?
I think they got you got an email, right, from the SES. So let's take like 5 to 10 minutes. We'll see after 5 minutes who did that, and then we go through the exam review, which we printed for you. Let me see if we have enough. Yeah, we have.
How many do you have?
I think we have 25 or 30. No, 25. So are you done with the SES? Yeah, done. All good? Thank you very much. So we'll start this today. Don't panic because one, it's not official. Secondly, we still have a lecture tomorrow, right? So we'll start today, we'll finish tomorrow. So the whole point here again is just to help you to understand how we're going to design the exam, so you can prepare yourself in a much better way. Cool? Yep. All good? Have to ask Maria. Roger that. So just in short, we're gonna ask about everything. No introduction or week one. How many lectures did you? So, but you should be fine because this was covered during the workshops and project and stuff like that. Also, the second half of the subject, week 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Questions so far? Only the patterns, of course, that we discussed. Oh, but what if there is another part? If it's out of scope, it's out of scope, right? So don't overthink. If you start studying, you get a book and you find a pattern like, oh, but that's not like, they didn't discuss. Don't worry, okay? We're not gonna go like that far. And the style of this will be, so you have the cover page. It's probably not matching because I just slightly changed the instructions to you all. Just adding a bit more of details in terms of please write legibly in blue or black pen. Look, this won't change. I ask you to spend a couple of minutes reading this. Why? It's so simple, we neglect. Then what I look when we go to Royal Exhibition Building or Wilson's Hall, I'm walking there and there are students writing on a different, like drafting somewhere, like out of the squares, or writing with pencil, and then I say, look, this won't be accepted. Why? Oh my gosh, I only have 20 minutes. It's all here. So help yourself, please. Right? It's okay for you to draft something. As soon as you understand that later on, you have to get a pen and write in the space that is provided to you. Right? The exam has a total mark of 60. Cool. The duration will be 2 hours. You have 15 minutes to read through all of the page. 15 minutes, it's what it's asked for Maria and I to be there to help you. This means, and I don't know about your previous experience while sitting to do other subjects. I'll talk about this one in particular. We'll be there. 15 minutes, you're reading the exam and you're trying to understand, see if there is something that is not clear to you or whatever. 2 hours, it's more than enough time for you to finish this. So please don't start answering to anything or taking notes. You're wasting the chance to have us to help you understanding a particular question, something that is not clear to you. If you miss that, do you still get an answer? Yeah. Maybe 30 minutes later, 1 hour later, I'll get a phone call and I will, there is someone in between us. The student is asking this and this. I'm like, what? Sorry, I can't talk loud to you. And I'm like, that's correct. Okay, it's correct. But if we're there, we can kind of explain better. You can double check things. So use this 15 minutes for your own benefit. I know It's given in all of the subjects, but that's what I observe. People don't read, and they make mistakes with like could be avoided, right? So this is number one. So 60 marks, 2 hours, 15 minutes for you to read. We'll have 10 questions. Okay? Maria was just telling me here that 60 marks.
2 hours.
2 hours means for each mark you should spend 2 minutes. That will give you an idea on how much time you need to answer to each question. It's not here.
It's just a time management.
I told, okay, that's good. Let's add that to help them. So when you look at the cover page and you see it's different, he's lying. No, we'll add that and we'll remove the sample week 12. That's all. Okay? So don't panic, you know, there will be 10 questions and then it's like, okay, we know what's going to be covered. We start having a rough idea about the exam. This is how we design in the exam. And you can see here, as you go on page 2, you can see part A, short answer questions. So we can have quite a few. I'm not saying that we'll have like 1, 2, 3, 5. We don't know. We're still designing the exam. But we know that we'll have some short answer questions. List and describe each of the asset properties of transactions. So look, today we're not answering and discussing because today we're showing you the template. What we're going to do tomorrow, we'll discuss answers and we'll share with you the marking criteria, which is how can you answer to these questions in the best possible way? What are the expectations for these questions? Does it make sense? Cool? Is that clear? Yeah? So for example, different people will address this in a different way. We can discuss. Before we provide answers, I encourage you to try and give it a go here. Because I'll ask you. I'm not going to answer to everything. I'll ask you. And then maybe you have an answer, you have an answer, someone else have an answer. We discuss together, we brainstorm, we come up with a better answer. So let's work collaboratively, okay? Clear? So short answer. So these are examples of short answer. Have a look. Read carefully tomorrow if you disagree with something. Oh, that's not short. That's blah, blah. Then we can chat and discuss. That's a really safe space to do that, right? We're working as a team. So if we go to page 6, then we have another one, which is discussion. So here we're asking you to compare and contrast 2 different patterns with respect to the following: maintenance of the application and the use of database keys. You have to compare the patterns. You have to contrast in regards to this. So it's more like a discussion. Why was the difference when to use or whatever. It's not only like, what are the patterns? Cool? So, yeah, there is another one that is describe the implementation aspects and the pros and cons of the patterns for managing session state and so on. These are just examples. And then lastly, we have on page 8, question 9, which we can see a diagram here. So, example. This is again, this is an example. We can't show you all of the possible ways that we can design a question, but consider that maybe you'll be asked to come up with a diagram. Maybe you can extend a diagram. Maybe you can fix a diagram that is provided to you. In this particular case, you're asked to define a relational database schema for a diagram. Maybe we could give you a database schema for you to come up with a diagram. So I don't know, maybe it's not a diagram, but it's slightly different. There are more things here that you have to observe, discuss, maybe, or describe or identify. So in here, for example, there is this fragment. We give context in the last paragraph, but what we're asking is identify and justify all object-to-relational patterns for structural design that you have used that are in here. And maybe we could ask for more patterns or for different layers or whatever. So this is an example, right? But what we're going to do is we will work together to show you expectations for these particular questions and answers in terms of criteria, so you can have a crystal clear understanding of what's coming your way. Yeah?
Good. Yeah.
Does it make sense? Questions? Suggestions? Please talk. Someone tell something. Sometimes they're very interactive. Does it make sense? So please try. I think the best way to come up tomorrow for a nice discussion with us is if you try, because for example, I tried this, I know the content, but I don't know how to answer. Would you accept this as an answer? Should I design something here? Should I use bullet points? Should I write the entire paragraph? What is your expectation? How can I answer to something like this? If you don't try, I'll tell you, it will make sense to you because we have a reason to explain you that particular answer in that particular way, but it's not coming from your head. So if you can spend 30 minutes, an hour, more plus, okay, but at least 30 minutes to an hour to go into this, it's for your own benefit, it's not for us. We're doing this for you, but we only can help you to a certain extent, right? So, yeah, that's all I have to say. All good?
All good. That's it from our side.
All right, great. Thank you for coming. We'll see you tomorrow for our final lecture. Enjoy the beautiful sunshine, and we see you all tomorrow. I think I'm gonna print more.